So, what we have derived till now is m by I is equal to sigma by y is equal to E upon R. So, in this equation, m is maximum bending moment, I is Ixx, or you can say second moment of area. Now, why it is Ixx? Because if this is a beam and this is your centroidal axis and the load is acting like this. So this is your x axis. So the axis taken for cross sectional area and the axis taken for second moment of area is that axis which is perpendicular to the direction of load. So if it is perpendicular to the direction of load, it will be Ixx. Suppose you have a case where the beam is kept like this and the load is acted upon in this direction, then you will be taking Iyy. So this is a special case. For this, load has to be created, and here the load acts due to virtue of gravity, self weight, anything. So these are special cases which are generally not applicable in real practice. So Ixx has been intentionally taken because uh, this is the plane which is perpendicular to the direction of load. Now sigma is maximum bending stresses. Now, why maximum? Because all other components that you are taking are maximum in nature. Now, y is the distance of the extreme fiber from the neutral axis. Now, it is always mentioned as neutral axis, not centroidal axis. Why? In the case of initially straight beams, the neutral axis and the centroidal axis they coincide. Centroidal axis is a geometrical parameter, and neutral axis is a mathematical parameter which defines the location or the plane of zero stresses. So, in curved beams, again this neutral axis and the centroidal axis actually they do not coincide. So, what we do is we take y. Y max is the maximum distance of the extreme fiber from the neutral axis. So, when we study curved beams, I'll try to make you understand why the neutral axis and the centroidal axis are not coinciding. Now, E is Young's modulus, or you can say modulus of elasticity. The unit are Newton per meter square or Newton per mm square, whatever is applicable. R is radius of curvature. So these are the various terms that are used in the bending equation. Okay, so if you want to copy this down, you can copy this down. I'll rub it. Should I rub it?
Yes, sir.
Now, once again coming back to the equation, if this is your equation, m by I is equal to sigma by y is equal to E upon R, you have different multiple combinations. So one is m by I is equal to sigma by y, one is m by I is equal to E by R, and the other one is sigma by y is equal to E upon R. So for any equation to be valid or mathematically applicable, there has to be a cause which has to be equated to an effect. So you always need to have a cause and effect both in the same equation itself. Now, if you look at this equation, the moment is the cause. You have applied a force, that force has produced a moment, and this moment has produced an bending stresses in the material. So you have cause and effect both lying in the same equation. So this is a valid mathematical application. Now if you come to this moment is the cause. Now this is a geometrical parameter. This is a geometrical parameter, and this is something arbitrary. If you increase r, theta decreases. If you decrease r, theta increases. The concept of radius of curvature is, it is a term which is used to determine the length of inclined bodies if they subtend an angle of theta, where theta is taken in radians. So this r and theta, this is an arbitrary term, that this depends upon you. So the multiple of r and theta will remain the same. So if you see here in this equation does not have any effect parameter. There is nothing which shows the effect of these bending stresses. All these are virtually constants. This is a constant, this is a constant, sorry, this is written as geometrical, this is a material property. This is a material property, and this is some arbitrary. So this is not taken as a mathematical equation for finding out any of the parameters. Now here also, if you look at bending stresses, if you take this as cause or if you take this as an effect, that bending stresses have been produced, you need to find out the force which was actually producing it. So you can manipulate between cause and effect. In both the cases, this remains the effect only, and this is again a geometrical parameter, because the distance of the centroid, this distance of the extreme fiber from the neutral axis is some value which depends upon the geometry of the body. Now this is a material property, and this is some arbitrary value. So this can also cannot be uh, taken as unjustified mathematical equation. So by looking at this equation, what was the significance of E by R? Why did this actually come into practice when this was this is not at all going to be used? The reason is, it is used as a comparison parameter between m by I and sigma by y. So it is used as a parameter which will be used to compare m by I and sigma by y. There is no other physical significance of the term E by R. So Should I rub this?
No, sir.
मिटाऊं?
No, sir.
हाँ ना.
नहीं, sir.
Now come to terms. How do you calculate the terms? Now, if you have a circular body and this has a certain diameter, then I is given by pi by 64 d to the power 4 or pi by 4 r to the power 4, whereas y is given by d by 2. This is the maximum distance from the centroidal axis or neutral axis in the case of straight beams. So if this is a hollow section and this is d1 and this is, sorry, and this is d2. So this is pi by 64 d1 to the power 4 minus d2 to the power 4. And this distance is d1 by 2. Or you can say it is r1. Why it is d1 by 2? Because this is the distance of the extreme fiber here from the centroidal axis. So if you have a rectangular body, all these formulas were predefined, pre-derived in second year. So it was just, so this is BD cube by 12 and the distance of the extreme fiber is D by 2. So if you have a hollow section, if suppose this is B1 D1 and this is B2 D2, then you have B2 D2 cube by 12 minus B1 D1 cube by 12, and the distance of the extreme fiber from the neutral axis is D2 by 2. Now this is for standard shapes. Now for composite bodies, for composite sections, like let us say if you have a section like this, for composite sections like these, the first step is determine centroid. In centroid, you require only the value of y bar. And second is find Ixx. Ixx is equal to integral y square dA. And to determine centroid, what do? You take a1 y1 plus a2 y2 divided by a1 plus a2. And for centroid Ixx, you need to apply parallel axis theorem and calculate the value of Ixx for these two. So once this is done, then you have one value, or now you have calculated I and y. So here, let us say you have this section. So this is your centroidal axis. Let us say you have located it. So this is one distance, let us say distance 1, and this is another distance. Let us say this is distance 2. So to find out the maximum bending stresses, you need to take the maximum of D1 and D2. So both you need to find out, and depending upon their values, you will be actually calculating which one is maximum and which one is minimum. Okay, so this is how you calculate the values of I and Y. Should I rub this?
सर
हाँ जी,
हेलो सर, ये D1 D2 वाला क्या बताया था आपने? तो नेटवर्क चला गया था
कौन सा?
सर। ये साइड में फॉर कंपोजिट सेक्शन।
कंपोजिट सेक्शन में अगर मान लीजिए आपने ये निकाला है, यू हैव कैलकुलेटेड द सेंट्रोइड लोकेशन ऑफ द सेंट्रोइडल एक्सिस, तो ये आपका लोकेशन ऑफ द सेंट्रोइडल एक्सिस है, ये किसी रेफरेंस के रेस्पेक्ट में ही तो होगा। तो अगर किसी रेफरेंस के रेस्पेक्ट में है, सो यू नाउ हैव टू डिस्टेंसेस। इसके ऊपर एक्सट्रीम फाइबर यहाँ पे लाई करता है, इसके नीचे एक्सट्रीम फाइबर यहाँ पे लाई करता है। So now you have two distances. When you have two distances, and suppose you are asked to find out the maximum bending stresses. So for maximum bending stresses, you have to choose the maximum of D1 and D2, whichever is more. ठीक है? हाँ. If the question is determine in this beam section only, determine the maximum compressive stresses. So compressive stresses means the upper fibers are in compression, the bottom fibers are in tension. So if this is your cross section, the maximum compressive stresses, they correspond to D1. If it is asked determine the maximum tensile stresses, then you need to take Y is equal to D2. If the question is determine the maximum bending stresses, so maximum bending stresses means you have to choose the maximum of D1 and D2 and then only solve it. मिटाऊं इसको? Should I rub it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let us come to M. Now M is maximum bending moment. So one option is it will be given in the problem. ठीक है? The chances of which are very less. To solve it, what you need to do is first stage is obviously it is a beam. Find reactions. Second is draw the shear force diagram. How to draw the shear force diagram? Probably it should have be very clear for you till now that I have taught you in second year. Draw the shear force diagram. And the third one is find where the SFD, shear force diagram, changes sign. So wherever the shear force diagram changes sign, the bending moment is maximum. So find bending moment at that point. So you need to find out the bending moment at that point. To find out the bending moment, you don't need to plot the bending moment diagram. You just need the magnitude of the bending moment. For all these things, you have to be very careful because you won't be allocated any marks for determination of reactions, drawing the shear force diagram, finding the location where the shear force diagram changes sign. We are only concerned with the magnitude of bending moment. It has to be correct, because marks for drawing all these things have been already given to you in your second year. So you actually don't get marks for the same thing in all your years. Obviously, this itself is a very big job, but you need to be very clear how to solve it, how to draw it, and how to find out the bending. So this is you have to do for all beams. Now there are certain standard cases. So let us discuss those standard cases. Now the first case is cantilever beam. If you have a cantilever beam which is being acted by any load, any type of load, any load, then BM is max at fixed end. So find BM here. Okay, let this point be A. So this is at A. Find BM at A. This will always give you the maximum bending moment. So in any case, if you have a cantilever beam which is loaded in any possible manner, then you just need to find out the bending moment at the fixed end. Whatever is the bending moment at the fixed end, that is the maximum bending moment that the beam will be subjected to. Okay. Should I rub this?
No, sir.
Now there is a term I by Y. Now, how did this come? This is called as section modulus. Go through books. I by Y, this is denoted by Z. This is called as section modulus. How did you arrive at this? M by I is equal to sigma by Y. So this can be written as sigma is equal to
M into Y upon I.
m
I
divided by
into
I by y. So this is further written as sigma is equal to m by z. So this term I by y is called as section modulus. Why it is called as section modulus? Because these are two parameters which are dependent upon the cross section of the body. This is also a geometrical parameter. This is also geometrical parameter of the same body. So the ratio of I by y is termed as section modulus, denoted by z. There of this.
Yes.
हाँ जी मिटाओ.
Yes, sir.
अब आ जाओ. There are other standard cases. The second standard case is you have this is a simply supported beam carrying a point load at the center. If it is not carrying at the center only itself, then this will not be a standard case. If you have a simply supported beam carrying a point load only, and that too at the center, this becomes a standard case. So here the reactions, if you find out, it will be W by 2 and W by 2. If you draw the shear force diagram of this beam, this is something like this. This value is W by 2. This value is minus W by 2. So the shear force diagram changes sign here. So the shear force diagram changes sign here. Then bending moment is maximum here. So we need to find out the maximum bending moment. So bending moment max at this point will be W by 2 into L by 2. If you look here, this will produce an clockwise motion. So this is positive. So M becomes equal to WL by 4, where W is the applied load, L is the length of the beam. So this is the standard relationship for a simply supported beam carrying a point load at the center. A simply supported beam carrying a single load, that too a point load, and that too at the center of the beam. Then only it is applicable. If the situations are changed, then you need to calculate it again. Means you need to draw the shear force diagram, bending moment diagram, then only you get one value, that is M. Should I rub this?
Yes, sir.
Now, coming to the last case. The last case is a simply supported beam carrying a uniformly distributed load over its entire length. So let us say you have a simply supported beam of length L and it carries a uniformly distributed load of W Newton per meter, small w, this is not capital W, so remember, small w Newton per meter over its entire length. So the reactions here will be WL by 2 and WL by 2 because the total load will be W into L, it will be divided equally into the two supporting members. Now if you draw the shear force diagram, so this is WL by 2 and this is minus WL by 2. So the bending moment diagram, sorry, the shear force diagram, this is your SFD. The SFD changes sign at a distance of L by 2. This you can very well find out. Okay. So if it changes sign here, then you need to find out the maximum bending moment at this location, which is at a distance L by 2. So what you need to do is, if you find out bending moment here, then bending moment max is given by WL by 2 multiplied by L by 2. This is the moment produced by this reaction about this point. WL by 2 multiplied by L by 2. Now this is clockwise in nature. Now there is some moment which is being produced by this half UDL also, which is lying to the left of the point where you need to find
Good
out.
morning, sir.
Huh? So this is minus the load is W by 2 because this is half of the UDL has been considered. So W into L by 2 is the load carried by this and it will be resolved at a distance half from the applied distance. So half is L by 4. So you get WL square by 4 minus WL square by 8. So M maximum is WL square by 8. हाँ जी, if you have any doubt आप पूछो, किसी की आवाज आई थी बीच में. हाँ जी.
सर ये लाइन हमें भी टेढ़ी मेढ़ी बनानी है.
लाइन तुम्हें भी. हेलो. हाँ क्या बोल रहे हो. हाँ पूछो, मुझे सुनाई नहीं पड़ा है.
सर ये डब्बा सा क्या बना दिया है.
कौन सा? तुम मार्क करो स्क्रीन पे, एनोटेशंस ऑन है, तुम चाहो तो स्क्रीन पे स्क्रिबल कर सकते हो। डब्बा कहाँ बना हुआ है?
सर डिफॉल्टर है वो, सर उस पर ध्यान मत दीजिए, वो रैंडम अकाउंट से आया है कोई बंदा, कैरी मिनाटी नाम से।
अच्छा। Should I rub this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are three standard cases, and for all other instances, you need to find out the maximum bending moment. Now, by normal
सर
process,
बीटा मिनट सर नोट कर रहा हूँ सर।
हाँ हाँ, क्या बोल रहे हो?
नोट कर रहा हूँ सर, नोट।
ठीक है ठीक है। For all other cases, you need to find out the reactions, draw the shear force diagram, draw the bending moment diagram, and then only you will get the maximum value of M. Okay, so this is everything related to bending equation, and now uh, we'll be solving one numerical today. What you need to keep in mind is things in second year and third year will differ. The the topics that are repeated, one is uh, bending stresses, and the second one is uh, torsion of circular shafts. So these two topics are repeated, and the level of questions that will be asked will be different. Okay. So, so let us now come to the numerical part. So, हाँ आनंद सिंह, क्या पूछना था?